Okay, what's up, everybody? Moron 13. Is that still okay? Okay, you all see the title of the video. Alright, let me explain. Well, technically, this is a video. Alright, look, basically, I had a bunch of videos recorded because, long story short, my great grandma died, and we had to, get some stuff ready, alright? Long story short, I had multiple videos recorded. They got corrupted, and only a couple of them were still left, but there was videos for at least one video for all of my What If series. And if you're wondering why I don't sound as enthusiastic right now, it's because this day has been nothing but ragingly anger. First with my damn dog saying she wants to run around the goddamn street like a fucking dumbass. And B, because someone in this goddamn house has came in here and took my shit. It's more of the fact that it's a jacket, yes, but it's more of the fact that it was just on my fucking bed. It had my school's name quite literally sewn into it. And it's not in this fucking room. I've looked. Meaning that someone's dumbass came in here and took it with possibly one of the purposes of pissing me off. Which I will get to from the bottom tomorrow. But somewhat really pissed right now, and I cannot wait to go to college so I don't have to deal with dumbasses coming in here and doing stupid shit. Because it was just right at the front of my bed. It was right there. And again, I have to mention, my school's letters were written, not even fucking written, sewn onto it. It was sewn onto it. And that's what pisses me off the most. That my school's letters were sewn onto it, and someone in their dumbass idea still thought it'd be a smart idea to come take it. No, I'm gonna drop it because I'm gonna be angry for it for the rest of the night. And right now, I just want to get this video done and take a fucking shower to cool off and figure out how much I'm going to yell at someone tomorrow. Because this ain't no goddamn accident. You have to come in here and be really in the mood to piss someone off and do something that fucking retarded. Like taking a jacket off my bed with my goddamn school name and fucking sewn onto it. All I know is that tomorrow, in a couple of hours, someone is going to get yelled at. You're going to get yelled at a fucking lot. Okay, also back on the whole video thing, for some series like the Loud 10 series, some of those episodes got corrupted, so when the 11th alien shows up, that episode got corrupted explaining what he can do, so I'll make it after I post all those ones, but let's just get into the video. What if Asta was a Jedi? And I don't really think I should need to go over this much, but what if he was a Jedi, you know? Alright, so basically the story starts about after Asta gets that dude to piss off from trying to steal, something pinned it, or as we know, the stone, but but yeah, after Asta gets that dude pissed off, we go, shit, I already fucked it up. Basically, we go back in time about 6 years, same age as Asta, where we see the mother and father of basically the universal of the Force, seeing that Anakin will go down a dark path, and realizing they need someone to deal with him. So, they make someone. And thus, Asta is introduced, which I hope you know, for all of these what if a character was a Jedi, it's mostly going to be they'll basically be the star killer of this world. So yeah, they're pretty damn busted midichlorians. But, so yeah, after Asta pisses the dude off, we see somewhere, this, I would say Earth is far away, really out of the system, or whatever planet they're on, let's say Earth, and it's really far out, in the outer rim, kinda, so you know. Yeah, so we see Anakin get vision, and he tells Obi-Wan about it. And so they go to this planet. Well, he tells the High Jedi Council they're realizing that if Anakin's getting a vision, the Chosen One, then it'd be best to send him to check it out. So they send him, Obi-Wan. So yeah, like this is years before the Clone Wars too, obviously. So they send him, Anakin, all of them send him off. And they get to a planet, like in the Outer Rim, like around the planet that Ahsoka went to hide on after Order 66. Like around there. And so, we get to that as we see them landing down. But during this time of them flying to Hodge Village, they land outside in the skirts. And as we see them walking, they see a woman fighting something off. So they separate the two with the Force. With the woman wondering how they're doing this. They explain that to the Jedi, and they're asking her, well, some of them, their lightsabers ready. As, as the woman explains that her name is Leecha, though. She explains that there was a demon trying to possess her, trying to use her son to break into the world, and she thinks she might have been killed if it wasn't for them, so she thanks them. And thus, Libe and Lucida gets to live in this universe. Well, Lucida used to live in this universe, as they say they're looking for someone. They're in a village somewhere, and she points to Hodge Village. And thus, Leecha and Libe get to live in this universe together, so they go back to their little cabin. And then we see the Obi-Wan and Anakin walk down as they realize that this is like a galaxy that doesn't even really have that isn't that much technological advance. Like, this is like a couple of 100 planets away from the planet that Ahsoka was hiding on, so, yeah. So, yeah, basically we see them get there, and we see them, it's pretty obvious to see the green-haired boy, green-eyed boy with same spiky hair that looks like that Leecha lady. As she also told him that's where she explained her condition to him and said that's where she sent her son, if that's where they're looking for a village like that. So it's easy to, they can obviously sense the midichlorians off the kid, and wow. Considering that since again, basically all of the characters that are Jedi at my what if, since it's in a different universe, they're the equivalent of the Star Killer of their universe, meaning that even as a child, they had a very damn high amount of midichlorians, since, Star Killer was close to Anakin, like a couple of thousand off, but he was in the somewhere between 21 and 23, I'm very sure, in the terms of 21 and 23,000, or possibly even 20. He was close to Anakin in midichlorian count, just not all the way there. So yeah, they're able to feel his Force presence really well. And so they will they follow the kid back to the orphanage. They ask a couple of people around, where's that kid going? And they just go to him with the orphanage, which we see the two knock, which Sister Lily's the one answering after she kind of blasts Asta away with water after he tries to get her to marry her. As Obi-Wan thinks Riley this one is. But basically, they explain to her why they're here, and even give a demonstration to show they're not bullshitting and still a child. I guess lifting one of the babies up, I don't know. And basically everyone is there to hear it. So basically, Sister Lily and Father Orpheus, I'm pretty sure that's his name. It starts with an O and ends with an is, so, yeah. Yeah. And they show him the power of the Force and that they don't have grimoires since they can't feel magic off of these dudes. And they realize that they're not bullshitting. And so they leave it up to Asta whether he wants to go or not. Which, okay, look, they basically kidnap him. We all know what's going to happen to the kid. So, Asta says yes, let's be honest, this is basically kidnapping. Because it's going to be a while before Asta ever sees any of these people again. So, Father Orifice's sister Lily does ask them if they want to stay for dinner, and then knowing that this will be the last time that Asta might even see them, or at the very least, he won't see them for a while. And so, they let Asta have his one last meal with his family. And so, after that, Asta ends up packing up whatever he has, giving Sister Lily a hug, telling to stay safe and protect everyone as they go off. As they also tell Asta that they might have someone he wants to meet. Since, we know Anakin and Obi-Wan are kind like that, so we see them go to a hut in that woods as they knock on the door and shows them Leechida. And thus, they stay for a couple hours more for the next day to let Leechida just catch up with her son and hug him, and, it's an emotional moment for her. And Asta also meets his brother, that's a devil. But besides that, so after that, that's when we really see them go and hop on their ship. Anakin and Obi-Wan's ship as they fly off, which takes them a couple more days. Because again, this is like, even with light speed, this is far out. Ugh. Ugh. Really feels like I need to cough. But, God damn. Okay, but besides all of that, we see them finally land, and this is when Asta's deduce. Everyone makes one do, as again they can all feel the boy's high midichlorian count, same as Star Killers. So again, around the 23,000s at the age of a child. They know that Anakin has more than him, but it's like the Force did this on purpose for whatever reason. They don't know why, but they know it knows it's their job to train this boy. And thus begins Asta training. So Asta's here for so everything's normal until about Asta is 10. He's made some friends. Obviously, at this point, he's a lot more disciplined. It took a couple of years, but then he finally started being more disciplined. And, yeah. So Asta's a lot more disciplined in this timeline, And then the first sighting of the Clone Wars happened. And, we all know how this goes. And so we see for a couple Asta throughout some of his big events fighting some robots. And then we skip to the second year where he's 11 as he ends up facing with General Grievous. Basically, he was on a solo mission with some of his clones, which Asta is now drastically different from what he was before. Now about a war-hardened child soldier. So, yeah. So now Asta's a war-hardened child soldier. And this is when we see his platoon attacked and killed by, Grievous. And thus leads to a fight. As Asta Force pulls as Grievous says that you are strong, that his master has said that he's strong in the Force and must be killed. And so we see Asta grab his lightsabers, igniting them as a fight commences between the murderous droid and Asta, an 11-year-old child. And Asta actually does pretty good for it, since he's been training since he was 6. He's doing actually pretty good. Until Grievous ends up getting the upper hand on him, slashing, where he ends up slightly nicking him on his left shoulder, before also ducking down and slashing on his left side of his torso, leaving a burning scar. And as Asta sees that Grievous is getting ready to kill him, he gathers as much force as he can around him before shooting it out in the barrier. And this sends Grievous flying back and destroying at least a part of his hand, as this gives Asta enough time to run for his life. As we see the young child basically running as fast as he can, tears in his eyes, screaming, blistering out. So we see Asta just run and run and run. He keeps running as he knows that if he stops one moment and Grievous is not down, he's going to die. And so he keeps running and running and running. eventually Ahsoka Tano ends up finding him. And thus he's able to, sit back and heal. Asta, knowing to not show his emotions, just keeps quiet about it. And thus we skip to more parts of the Clone War, showing multiple parts of it. Asta getting a new lightsaber. Well, since one of his was lost. Actually, yeah. One of the blue sabers that Grievous has is one of the dual, since Asta's a dual wielder. One of the lightsabers that Grievous has, one of the blue ones, is actually Asta's, as he's still planning on killing him. And thus we skip to when Asta is 13, around when the end of the Clone Wars starts. Well, the end of the Clone Wars. And also, Asta's even adopted a new nickname for himself, Asta Skywalker. Basically, Anakin gave him the permission to use his last name, as basically, this was also help Asta think that he wasn't just a peasant that got lucky. Think that he's actually someone chosen for this, and also just to get that peasant mentality out of his head even more. Since Asta's starting to slightly relapse about it. But, yeah. So with that happening, we see Asta finally going on. And, well, we all know how the Clone Wars end. Execute Order 66. We see a cloaked figure say, and thus the clones attack. Now then, Asta was with a group of clones going back to the base beforehand. And Asta ends up seeing, thanks to training with Anakin and Obi-Wan, he knows what's happening. And he knows not to let his emotion get in the way, as with a quick slide, bring his lightsabers to his hands. The next thing you see is the clones around him dead as he runs, trying to get to the Jedi Temple, hopefully to find any Padawans to stop things from getting too out of line, too far. And we see him come across a room with the Padawans that he found. Well, the ones that Anakin found. The man he sees as a father, which also Asta knows about all of Padme's and Anakin's lovely relationships, so sees Padme as a mother too, and he was one of the first people told that Padme was pregnant. As Asta's thinking to hopefully get the Padawans, find Anakin, find Padme with the babies, and just hopefully just live so he can see his family again. And he's talking about his space family, but he also does think about his family back on Earth. And so we see Asta find the Padawans as he tells them to help protect them, only to see a door open up as he sees it's his father, as he calls the man he sees as his father. And thus he calls Anakin out, only for Anakin to step forward with yellow glowing eyes. And so Asta, with a heavy heart, draws his lightsabers, already knowing what's about to happen. As we see a duel commence between him and Anakin. Basically, it ends the same with Asta being grabbed by Anakin using the Force as he throws him around the room violently, slamming him up against the wall, and some of the crumbles fall on top of him. As we see, as Asta is left unconscious about this. Wait, what was that? Okay. As Asta is left unconscious with this, as we see the Padawans fearing in fear, as they realize they're next. And thus, we skip a couple of hours later, but Asta is blasting the rubble off of him violently, as we see him look up, only to have a horrified look on his face with tears streaming out of his eyes, as he sees the dead corpses of the Padawans laying near him. As he screams out no, it breaks down into tears, as he can't help but think that, as he just thinks that he has to get to, he heard Anakin saying Mustafar, he just has to get there and make sure his mother is alright, and make sure the babies are alright. So he takes the ship and flies off to Mustafar, just hoping, for the love of God, that Anakin, for the love of the Force itself, that Anakin didn't do anything to Padme. And thus we get him seeing her, as we see him running on top. Well, he sees a ship that Obi-Wan usually pilots, so he runs on top of it. And he sees Obi-Wan as he sees Padme getting ready to give birth. And Obi-Wan tells him to be in there for his mother since Anakin is no longer here. Well, this hits Asta like a ton of bricks. He goes in there with Padme saying hi to the little boy that, well, she obviously sees as that's her son now. And thus Padme gives birth while her son is there, as she then tells Asta that these are his siblings, Luke and Leia. As she tells him that stay safe with your siblings and protect them. And she tells Asta that she loves him, Anakin, and she loves the little family that they've made. As those were the last words that Padme spoke before fading into the afterlife. As we see Asta with tears on his face as he's holding his siblings, breaking down into it. As he says that that he's their older brother to them, telling them that they look so much like their parents. But Asta knows that with him even with him possibly being presumed dead, he knows it's not a smart idea to be around these kids. He needs to, especially with his midichlorian count. And so he tells them, Obi-Wan coming to the same conclusion, that they need to hide these two, hide them from the Empire, and hope that they're ready, and even put themselves into hiding. Asta hates it, but he knows it has to be the right thing to do. And so, the 13-year-old comes as well, and we see him. Actually, he travels between Tatooine and Aldar. He goes to Tatooine first, giving the people that were basically kind of like rude friends to Anakin, as he asks them to protect his little brother with their lives, please. Now, seeing the desperate 13-year-old, they agree. And thus, Luke was left on Tatooine, as we see him, with little baby Leia flying to Alderaan and leaving her with this public senator. As he apologizes, as he tells Leia he's sorry that he can't be a part of their lives. But one day, if he can bring down the Empire, he'll find them and bring the little family that's left over. And thus, we see Asta go on the run for his life. For about the next couple of months, Asta is just kind of roaming around in space, and eventually until he finds them all on some planet with the dark saber. And thus Asta challenges them all, knowing what he did to Obi-Wan, the Senate of Mandalore, the woman Obi-Wan loved. And Asta really needs to vent, and just the duel begins. It ends with Asta beating Maul and taking the Darksaber for himself, as we see him just leave Maul on the planet he is, which later he ends up being indestructible by an Inquisitor. Basically, and we don't see the fight. All we know is that eventually we see Asta punch the Inquisitor down in the face before basically completely slamming his fist into their face, letting out all of his anger over what happened. And he keeps punching and punching and punching. Eventually, the Inquisitor stops moving, but even then, Asta doesn't stop. He keeps going until and when he does stop, we see the Inquisitor's blood on his face, his hands, his clothes, as we see Asta get up and grab the lightsaber that was knocked across the way. As Asta breaks it, throwing it on the Inquisitor's body, and ends up setting a match off of it. Thanks to the broken lightsaber, it basically combusts, burning the corpse. As the boy then goes on for a couple more months until he's around 14, which also he does seem like a fake. He does like a little fake death thing, and thus we see Asta finally fly back to Earth. He's had to lay low a lot and even switch ships and blow the others up just to throw the Empire off his trail, especially with their new Darth Vader. Asta has a hunch that it's Anakin, but he doesn't even want to think about it. He just wants to go home. And so now Asta, who has suffered multiple nightmares of the events of the Clone Wars in Order 66, we see him slowly flying back down the Earth. Asta now has the long hair as he just hasn't felt to cut it. He can't bring himself to. As Asta grew his hair out during the Clone Wars, and while, yes, they were a horrible time for a child to go through, he still made friends. And also, obviously, he's got to think of Sister Lily. And this is currently what Asta is wearing. This. So, finally, we see Asta fly down. As Asta seems to have multiple severe bags under his eyes and everything. Since it's been a slight tribulation to sleep because of the nightmares. The raging nightmares. Which, then we switch to the POV of Sister Lily. We seen her coming out to water something. Gather more water, something, I don't know. As she hears something fly down. As she sees a weird, craft as it opens up. And when the person that walks out she sees that those green eyes and white grayish hair, she can never not know as she sees it, as she calls out to Asta. As Asta doesn't say anything, it just runs to Sister Lily, giving her a hug before breaking down into tears. As Sister Lily is wondering what the hell happened while Asta was gone. The only thing she can really do right now is just hug him and tell him it'll be okay. And she's out there for the next 3 minutes as Asta basically cries himself to sleep. And thus she calls for Yuno to come help. And when Yuno sees Asta, he wonders, the tears obviously dashed around his face, as he wondered, what happened? What made it so Asta would cry like this? Since all he knew as a child, Asta would barely cry. Asta never cried, really. Hell, not at all. To see this, he wonders just what happened. But he does also know one thing. Now, it's nice to have Asta back. And so, with the help of his wind magic, he brings Asta to a bed that was still left, and a new bed that was left made for him. As they just put him down to let him rest. And they also take his lightsaber and darksaber off him and put it to the side of him. And this is one of the first few times Asta has actually slept peacefully in a long time. And so, we skip to the morning where Asta wakes up. Tired, his eyes still slightly red from crying for at least 20 to 30 minutes. As he wakes up, he realizes that he's back in the orphanage. A place that he still had ingrained in his memory thanks to the help of the Force. As he just looks at them, as he knows at least one red-haired kid. As he remembers Sister Lily having a redhead baby. So he grew up, he thinks. And thus, after this, we see Asta actually in some more normal clothes. After they left a white t-shirt out for him and everything. As we see Asta come out in that, as he walks out and he sees Yuno, Father Orpheus, and Sister Lily. As Asta, with his hair now, down to his shoulders now, just says, "Hey." And thus, this leads to one big old family hug again. As they asked what happened. They haven't seen him since he was 6? Okay, so he's 14 now. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. About 8 years. Yeah, no, it's been 8 years since they've seen him. Asta explains that he'll tell them eventually. It's just that right now he's not. He just doesn't want to talk about it. As they hear the slight breaking of Asta's voice, as they realize this definitely isn't the kid from 6 years ago. 8 years ago. This is someone who's been hurt and damaged by what he's gone through, and they don't know yet. Hopefully they'll find out and be able to help him with it, but just for now, they just don't know what to do. And so, yeah, how much time am I running on? Now that I'm really investing into this, I really don't want to stop. Shit. Okay, okay, Yeah, I guess, alright. Yeah, I'll keep going till about 12:40, why not? Okay. And so, yeah, after hearing that, they drop it for now. As Aston walks around through the village again. It's weird for him that he hasn't been here for 6 years, so it's just weird for him to be here. As Asta also still has his lightsaber and the light and dark saber strapped to his side as to not make sure, just in case. Since Aston knows that this planet is really far out, it wouldn't really matter. So yeah. So for the first couple of days, Asta also meets the other orphans that, he couldn't meet here because, he wasn't there to meet them. So yeah. So the other orphans that, he couldn't meet, he meets. So yeah. Okay, so after using the Force, to connect to his family bonds, ends up ending back up at that same little alley that's a little bigger now. And thus he knocks on the door and he sees the woman that he does have slight memories of, his mother, and also his brother Libe, the demon. And so Asta sits with the day with them and talks and says that he'll come and visit every time he can. And, literally also gives Asta his grimoire in this time, Light Ass, because she realized that she really wasn't getting use out of it. And also when Asta touches it, it sends off an aura that ends up grabbing Libe and shoving him inside. As they wonder what's happened, he comes out and realizes that he's stuck to the damn book now. So that's great. And Asta says, he won't really use it until about 2 years next, so, yeah. And though we skip a couple more months, Asta's 15 now, since, he's about to be near 15. And this is when Asta finally explains to Yeast, what happened out there. As he explains the Clone Wars, Order 66. He explains it in vague detail as he's physically not ready to go into the conversation about fully what happened because of the trauma. And also, here's what Asta's lightsaber looks like. He has this from the dark saber. Okay, you see this? Silver, blue. Yep, okay. So, we finally see things getting to roll on, move on, And so, yeah. Asta also tells Libe about, he told them first, and then who told Sister Lily and Father Orpheus. And I guess there would be therapists out in the Black Clover world, but realistically, also Asta did hide his ship around the giant-ass skull, so... Actually, I say he parked it in the woods next to, farther away from Hodge Village. So, yeah, I say he, just parked it, in a ravine somewhere. In a cave somewhere. Yeah, no. I would say, near Leech's house, there's a waterfall, a big waterfall. and there's a cave behind it, and Asta flew it in there, and it's just there. Asta goes to check on it to make sure we didn't get any distress signals or something like that. But it's there, and Asta has like a remote that can tell him what's going on with his ship. So yeah, Asta also has a blaster on him. So, and shit, were they 15 or 16? God damn it. Okay, hold up. Was Asta when the series started? First episode. Okay, give me a minute. Come on. Shit. That's lovely. Okay, hold up. Come on. Okay. So I was right, 15. Alright, so, we skipped to around this time, someone tries to rob Hot Village. Boy, everyone's heard that Asta is back from whatever he was. Man, they can see that this kid is different, extremely. And so, yeah, someone tries to basically destroy Hot Village, which in the next preceded moments, they're floated, slammed into the ground, and proceeded to get dragged over by Asta, which he then proceeds to sub the Darksaber through their chest, killing them instantly, as he lets the corpse drop to the floor as he tells their other friends that they're not leaving anywhere. With a quick raise of his hands, he snaps their necks. Again, Asta is so reasonably fucked up by Order 66 that he's doing shit like this. So yeah, in that span, he murdered 3 people in cold blood without any hesitation. And some of the people in Hot Village are surprised, to say the least, that this little kid they used to remember running around screaming about how he'll be the Wizard King and marry Sister Lily just brutally murdered 3 people. Which, granted, they had it coming, but still. But they don't really question anything. Also, they wonder what the hell is up with his swords. Which, since Asta is still Asta, I would say that he had his lightsaber conditioned to where it shoots out the beam. It looks like a katana, the start of a katana, and also when the beam shoots out, it also looks like a katana. For reasons, because he wanted to. And, yeah, for reasons and because, well, he just really wanted to look like that. So they both look like katanas, and everyone's wearing like what? So, yeah. After that, we skip a couple of days. Their 15th birthday start up, and their 15th birthday start up. Well, the events of the anime happen as in canon. Asta still wants to become the Wizard King, but he doesn't really make a big scene out of it. Kind of through the press. He's kind of, through the press to do so. Okay. Extra 10. Yep, this is gonna be a long video. Okay, so Asta stops by Alicia's house and ends up grabbing Libe as he goes into the grimoire and becomes his little demon's chibi self. So yeah, they didn't walk to the entrance ceremony with Asta already having the grimoire in the little book, in the holster, so you know. And still, Asta is dressed up like this, but it has a hood. As he's still a Jedi, and well, he just had these clothes more fit for him. And so we see him walking up to there as he sees Yuno getting grabbed. And thus he activates the grimoire and pulls out the Demon Dweller sword, which Asta is still incredibly ripped here. Except also, I hope you know he's littered with scars because blaster bolts and, well, you know, Asta was still kind of hot-headed during the war, the Clone Wars, so he got hurt a lot. So yeah, Asta uses the Demon Dora sword that, as Libe tells him that he's pretty sure it's anti-magic is what he has. And so Asta jumps down and cuts the chains, dispelling them, before almost immediately ditch-bashing the mage over the sheer fact that he has far more combat experience than him. And also, again, this is a survivor of the Clone Wars, so yeah. And also Order 66. Also, he beat Maul. Also, he murdered Inquisitor by beating him to death. Which, you know, Asta is still ridiculously strong in this one, because that's how he just kind of punched an Inquisitor to death. Just kept slinging his fist to his face. But, yeah. Let's not get on all of that. And thus, you know, still happy to see that Asta is somewhat still him, as they still declare to be rivals. You know, I'm not gonna lie, doing this is some of the stuff that just really makes me happy. Which, yeah, sorry to like pause it, but just wanted y'all to know that making videos like this, just really makes me happy and can let me cool off from how angry I was at the start of the video. Someone is still definitely getting yelled at tomorrow. No question. But, yeah. So, they still decide to be, well, the Wizard King, and thus 6 months happen. Asta really just spends that 6 months morally trying to get his mental state together, since Asta is still acting like a cold-blooded child soldier that's been forced to kill hundreds of people. Since, yes, Asta blew multiple since during the Clone Wars, Asta blew multiple enemy ships up, killing hundreds. So, let's say that Asta's kill count about 1,003, accounting the other people that he just slaughtered in cold blood. So, yeah, 1,003 for the month. Would it actually be 1,000 though? I mean, he blew up a ship with multiple people on it. Hundreds. No, let's just say about 7,000. Since he blew up a lot of ships, and I mean a lot of them in the Clone Wars. And also murdered hundreds. So let's just say 7,000 for 7,003 for Asta's kill count. From all the shit he's had to do. Which he doesn't really get to him on that one because of the fact that they were trying to kill him, so it's only fair that he murders them instead. So yeah. Asta goes on his lovely killing spree. Well, Asta during those 6 months, he doesn't really train sword fighting. Again, he knows all 7 forms of lightsaber combat, so since, well, you know what, actually, yeah, he just reforms all of his lightsaber combat methods, you know, just to make sure it's easier. So yeah, he reforms all of his lightsaber combat methods, getting better at them, has some PTSD attacks about the Clone Wars and everything his life turned into after he left. Besides that, he's fine, as we see him, you know, heading off for the Clover Kingdom. I really need that shower. So, yeah. See him heading off to the Clover Kingdom. And boom, shakalab, like they get there. They register Asta's book. Asta, you know. Asta still bumps into Yami. Which he just tells Yami sorry. When Yami tries to grab a hold of his head. Well, Asta obviously dodges out the way. Again, he's done a lot more. Again, anyone that survived the Clone Wars would be a lot more skilled than multiple people. That's, I mean, good, but again, most of the Magic Knight captains probably wouldn't have lived through the Clone Wars. I'm just gonna say that. Most of them probably wouldn't have survived Order 66 either. Probably would have been gunned down. especially a couple of few I can think of, but let's not get onto that. And so, thus, Asta, Seke still thinking that Asta is magicless, since they can't see its magic off Asta. Well, he didn't really care to do the broomstick thing, since, again, he doesn't really care what they think. Again, he's been through a lot more than them, since, tell him what's been going on for the past 6 years, 8 years since he was gone, so, yeah. And thus, Seke gets his ass handed to him, ragingly. I really don't know what to tell you. Again, so, yeah, Asta still chooses the Black Bulls. I mean, say they're out. As does stop, Asta does stop too, and tells him that, see ya, bro. Well, he calls him his brother and tells him he loves him. He tells his brother he loves him. I don't really know what family love. Some of the people in the comments, I don't want to see those comments. So, yeah. So after that, we see them finally get to the Black Bulls, with Yami telling them all to shut up, as Asta wonders, wow, that really used to be like this? As again, Asta is still kind of emotionally detached, since the Jedi basically drilled into his head that detached emotions. So yeah, Asta is still really detached from a lot of things. And so thus, we see it in we see that Magma telling Asta that to actually get into the Black Bulls, he has to go through trial by fire. And with that, we'll end this video.